Part 2. So we call him. He says, how fast can you guys get here? We're like, well, it's Wednesday. We have church tonight, but we can be there tomorrow. So we sit down with this man in this incredible facility that they've just poured so much love into. It was just so beautiful when he walked in the doors. And we sit down and we talk to him and we hear his story. And he left this really huge company that he was the CEO of. And Jesus got a hold of his heart and told him just to go, follow him, sell everything, and be sold out for Jesus. And so here's this man that we meet, and we're like, wow, you understand what it means to follow Christ. Like, to the world, it looks crazy, but when we know the Holy Spirit is asking us to do something, we have to obey, we have to go. And so we're like, you understand, we were almost in tears that we finally found somebody that understood, because as we were talking to people and we were seeking counsel, and you know, the enemy was putting fear in us through other people, saying, you know, you have a family, you can't quit your job, you can't sell your house, this is irrational, you know, and we were like, but this is what God's asking, and he's asking us to be obedient. And faith means jumping out and not seeing, but trusting God that he's going to catch your hand and that he knows the perfect plan for your life. And we're like, this is what he's calling us to do. So fast forward, we're talking to him and he asks our story, and we share our story about our addiction and our working with homelessness and all the things that God's allowed us to be a part of over the years, and the ministry and the huge God moments and the people that have came to Christ. And we're just sharing and just having this beautiful moment. And he's like, you guys are it. You're perfect. We want you. When can you start? So we're like, wow, okay, well, let's go home and pray on it. You know, let's go home and we'll figure this out. And so I remember I went on my porch. Remember I told you I would talk about the baby thing in a minute. And I remember I sat on my porch and I opened up my Bible, and I was in Genesis for some reason. Somebody had challenged me to read a chapter in the Bible for a day, you know, and go through the whole thing in a year. So I'm in like Genesis, I don't know, somewhere around 30-ish area. And it was the story of Leah. And I read my Bible, I opened it up, and it said that Leah was pregnant with Judah, and this baby she praised God for. So this was her baby that she finally, after having all these others, she finally praised God for. And in that moment, I broke down in tears, because I was like, God, you allowed me, you gave me a dream, and you told me what this baby's name was. And then months later, you fulfill that promise and tell me why that was that baby's name. Because that was the baby that we praised you for. I mean, how can you not be broken in that moment when he just reveals those things to you? And I sat there crying, and I was like, you care enough about me in the smallest details to make sure that I have peace and comfort, that I can't doubt this. I can't doubt your plan. It sounds crazy. I can't do anything but trust you and be 100% in, because you love me that much that you would give me a dream to tell me that it's all going to be okay. And then you would bring it all together and tell me why. So there was no reason for me not to trust God at this point. So I went back to my husband and I was like, I'm all in, 100%. I know this sounds crazy, but let's do this thing. And he came back and he was like, without a shadow of a doubt, I know we're supposed to do this thing. And we were super excited. So we go to put our house on the market, and we were getting a roof, and we had all these insurance issues, and the market's crazy. And so it took like longer than it was supposed to, probably 3 months longer than it was supposed to get listed. And we list our house in about, I think it was April or so that we listed it. And we weren't having any showings, and we weren't having anybody come. And I'll never forget, it was a Friday night, and Scott tells us, you know, I think God is just hiding this house for the person who's supposed to buy it. And I was like, well, don't say that. My open house is tomorrow. You know, I need lots of people to come and put an offer on my house. And I sat and thought that night, and I was like, you know, God hid this house for us. We didn't deserve this house. We shouldn't have been able to afford this house, but he hid it just for us. And this was his provision that we were supposed to have this house. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna trust this. So we go to our open house. Nobody shows, guys. Not a single person show up at my open house. Now keep in mind, we're in Florida. Houses are going $30,000 over the asking price. They're not staying on the market for 24 hours. My house is beautiful. It's updated. It's got 2 acres of land. It's got a brand new roof, brand new skylights, all of these things that are in this house that would fly off the market, but nobody comes to my open house. And as soon as my open house closes at 4:05, a lady walks in the door and she says, "This is the one. This is my home. I can feel the love of Jesus in it." Sold. Cash offer, buys it on the spot. And I was like, wow, God, like you really did hide this just for her. And I was blown away at it. So we put in the offer. We're super excited. I was super excited with who she was. God was just working through us in this process and the things that were getting done. And so we started looking for a house. And we tried, I think 5, 6, 7, I'm not even sure at this point, between either trying to put a contract in, putting a contract in, putting an offer in, getting outbidded, getting denied putting contracts in. I mean, it all happened to us. And we were not finding a house anytime soon. So we ended up renting a tiny house. And so we have a tiny house for a month. So that is where we are currently. We have found our more permanent house. I'm not going to reveal that yet. You're going to have to stay tuned for part 3. But we will be renovating our more permanent house. But you'll have to stay tuned to check that out. And it's going to be an interesting journey. It's not your normal house. So stay tuned. And there was our little update. And just be praying with us in this process. We actually move everything on Saturday. And we close on Tuesday, God willing. There's some issues with the roof, the new roof and the permits, and the county's got to close it. So be praying with us, and we are one step closer to being in the city of Clermont, and we're going to continue on with this journey and share it with you guys. So thanks so much. Bye.